Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Leading from Alignment with our good friend, coach, and mentor, John Opalewski. How are you today, John?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing well. I'm a
Good.
little sad because we only had 5 minutes to visit before recording.
Yeah,
Usually I like when we can take 15 or 20,
yeah,
but it is good to be here. Good to be with you today.
yeah. We're on a time crunch. We want to give our best efforts to the 20 or so minutes we have for this. So
That's right.
why don't you just get right into it? I think it's a really important, very a clarion call to the church and its leaders. And why don't you just introduce the topic for the day?
Sure. So the title is Builders versus Dismantlers. And
Mhm.
this is a two-parter. We're going to take part of it today, and then next week we'll grab the second part of this conversation. Jim, over the past few years, I've noticed a significant uptick of Christians throwing shade at the church
Yeah,
while providing few, if any, solutions.
yeah,
And can I just say this with all the love in my heart, and I mean that it's not sitting well with me.
yeah,
And I don't intend to take this and respond online, to any of this stuff. I just don't do that because I don't think social media is the place to have this conversation.
yeah. Thank you.
And a pastor by the name of Javon Ruff really crystallized this thinking for me a few weeks ago. He said, "Unity multiplies effectiveness, division destroys our witness."
Hmm.
And I'm watching the destruction of our witness.
Yeah.
And it really is bothering me at a deep level. Jesus, Jim, Jesus is a builder.
Right.
He said, "I will build my church."
Yeah.
And he was making this promise to create something lasting and life-giving and beautiful. And notice, notice that it's not perfect yet. It won't be
Yeah.
until he comes back. The church is not perfect. We know that it's made up of people like us,
Yeah.
but it's still a community that Jesus loves,
Right.
that he has redeemed. He calls that entity his bride.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it seems to me in the Christian community, we're increasingly quick to criticize, to tear down. And Jesus is inviting us to something different,
Yeah.
to join him in his work of building up, strengthening, encouraging one another, and protecting the unity he died to secure.
Yeah.
Um, Now, that being said, I know for some who are listening and watching, perhaps the idea of building a church doesn't bring excitement to you. It stirs up memories of
Yeah.
disappointment or pain. And I want to say this, if you've been legitimately hurt or abused by a leader, my heart, and I believe your heart,
Sure.
goes out to you.
Yeah.
That should never really happen to you. We know it happens, it shouldn't happen. So, this idea, Jim, of building the church is complicated for some because the church has been a source of legitimate hurt. Listen, if your boss disagrees with your opinion on something, I don't think that fits under the category of spiritual abuse.
Right.
Or, we've got to be more mature than that. We have to
Yeah.
be more real world about this. But if you've truly been damaged and hurt,
Yeah. Right.
um, please hear this. Jesus sees your pain
Right.
and he grieves with whatever wound you're trying to process and get healed from. But listen, the brokenness of his people doesn't erase the beauty of his purpose
Right.
for the church. So if you've been hurt, don't give up on Jesus because don't give up on the builder
Right.
because of the failings of the building. Um, get help, get
Yeah.
healed up. You're not going to get healed up on Twitter.
That's something you should tweet. That's true.
I probably should.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to, I think the opposite happens.
Yes.
You're not bringing healing to the wound. You're adding salt to the
Yeah.
wound. And and so get help from somebody, from a coach, from a counselor who's impartial, who doesn't have the same emotional capital invested in this, who can walk alongside you as you heal. So Jim, that's I know I just kind of backed
Yeah.
up the dump truck there. I'd like to hear your initial thoughts.
Well, I, putting the legitimate hurts aside, right? People who were abused, who were not just treated badly, but were manipulated and
Right.
threatened. Putting that aside, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about people that had I mean, to some degree, the people we're talking to are the people that are, the pastor didn't like my preferences. His wife wasn't nice to me. Their politics are different from my politics. I don't think they handled this social issue the way that I
Mm,
wanted them to handle it. And all of a sudden, we're this anti-church movement that doesn't go to church, doesn't serve, doesn't give, doesn't pray, Pray. It prays Prey. As an adolescent would say, I found a fault in an adult. Therefore, I'm now in charge because I found fault. Well, you're not. I would echo your thought, John, that the church is not perfect, but that doesn't mean it's not holy in the eyes of God. So,
that's right.
we can treat imperfect things fully knowing their imperfections, but that doesn't mean they're unholy, and we can treat them as if they're common. I think that's a real mistake. I
That's
think
right.
to treat the church as if, I gave it a 3-star rating because I didn't like the way the pastor said this. You're like, what are you talking about? A 3-star rating. Or on social media, the church I used to go to, and everybody knows what you're talking about. We have somehow empowered victims in our society beyond anything else. And so there is a
Mm,
rush many times for a person to get the attention, to get the love, to get the compassion that we feel that only a victim can achieve. So the pastor was mean to me. The pastor's wife didn't answer my text in a
mhm.
timely manner, and I'm out of there because they don't love people. That's where kind of go, hey, yes, it's imperfect. Those people you mentioned maybe should have done a better job, but don't treat what Jesus is building as an unholy thing. Reaching out and grabbing something holy like it's unholy or unclean, man.
Right.
Look through scripture. Anybody that touches holy things in an unholy way has a terrible, not always, but it's not a threat. I'm just saying don't reach out and grab a hold of it like it's yours. It doesn't belong to the pastor. It doesn't belong to the people. It belongs to the Lord. He's building it. And as he
Right.
drives a nail in, we shouldn't be pulling the nail back out again with our complaints. That's an inappropriate behavior.
Sure.
So when I say the people that are legitimately hurt, I'm not talking to them. I know we are. I just wanted to say that I think there's two classes of people, one that think they're hurt and ones that literally are.
That's right.
Let's be careful to point out what's wrong without destroying what Jesus is building. Don't treat
In
something
either
holy like
case,
that.
and in either case.
Yes.
So I've had some come to me and say, my boss is abusing me, and I said, well, how's that?
Yeah.
Explain, how's that happening? Well, he's giving me deadlines.
Yeah.
I said, do you understand that if you were in a corporate or a marketplace world and you complained about that, you'd be out.
Yeah.
That's the real world, my
Yeah.
young friend. And I
Yeah.
was nice about it. I said, you're asking to be treated in a way that the world doesn't work.
Yes.
It doesn't work like that, right? So,
No.
so there's that. Um, and again, but I've seen enough of the real stuff,
Sure.
and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But what I'd like to do is just give some made three key thoughts here today,
Mhm.
and then I want to do a real quick lightning round at
Okay.
the end. So we better put it in
Deal.
gear here.
Yeah. Hit me.
Um, here's thought one: Jesus is a builder. We already said this.
Yeah.
He identifies himself that way. He is a builder. I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. His
Yeah.
intent is creative, it is constructive. The church is his workmanship, not a human invention.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Jesus is a builder is not a call to cover up wrongdoing, marginalize abuse, pretend the church doesn't have a lot of repair work to do. It's none of
Sure.
that.
Sure.
It is a call for prayer, to be prayerful.
Yeah.
for leadership and for people who have been hurt.
Yeah.
It's a call to solution instead of slam.
Right.
Here's a thought somebody gave me just the other day about this. It's a call to understand that there's a difference between abuse and just poor leadership.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's true. Good point.
And so here's my concern, Jim, is that unsuspecting people will latch on to the negativity and they will get swept away in the rip current,
Yeah.
swept away from their walk with Jesus. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
Um, I'm old now, and here's one of the things I've discovered as an old guy. It takes no skill or character to point out the church's flaws.
Yeah.
It takes real skill and godly character to come to the table with solutions.
Yes.
So, in a way, if you've been hurt, you need to find somebody that you can trust, who you can walk alongside with,
Yeah.
so that you can get healed up,
Yes.
so that you can learn what you need to learn from that. Um, that maybe, if you've been hurt, God might be asking you to use that pain to bring some solutions.
Yes.
Be a builder. Be a builder, not be like Jesus. Be a builder.
Yeah.
Here's the second thought: unity is not uniformity.
Right.
In John 17, Jesus prayed for his disciples, and he prayed for all who would believe in him. He
Yeah.
says that all of them may be one, just as you are in me and I am in you. So he's praying to the Father. May they be brought to complete unity. Here's the kicker: to let the world know that you sent me.
Yeah.
And you know what? When Jesus prayed that prayer, Jim, he wasn't asking the Father to make us identical.
Right.
Unity does not mean that we all think alike, look alike, and act alike. That's
Right.
that's uniformity. And
Right.
that's not what Jesus was praying about. It biblical unity is much more complex and beautiful.
Yeah.
It's people from all walks of life, all classes, you
Yeah.
know, all colors,
Yeah.
uh, that are joined together by this thread.
Right.
We've been bought by Jesus, and He's
Right.
changed our lives, and we uh, we love Him, and we love the mission He's called us to. Um, so I think we get into trouble sometimes when we think that we all have to think the same, be the same.
Yeah.
No, there's this wonderful cornucopia of characters in the
Yeah.
kingdom of God.
Yes.
Um, Paul describes the church as a body, and so think about how gross it would be if we were all eyes.
Yeah. With
It'd
glasses.
be it'd be frightening, right?
Yeah.
Uh, the beauty of the body is in its differences.
Yes. Diversity.
Many
Yeah.
members, many functions, yet one life that flows through all of it. That's
Right.
unity.
Yeah.
Um, and so when we commit to unity, we're not surrendering our uniqueness, we're offering it,
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good word.
And so I think this is an important piece of the puzzle, um, that Jesus' prayer for unity really lands here, that how
Yeah.
you behave with each other sends a message, a loud and clear message to the world about whether I'm real or I'm not real.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this second one?
Yeah. I think people say, well, it's impossible to be unified. The young will see it differently than the old. This race has a different experience than that race. This education level has a different viewpoint of that education level. But isn't it interesting when I go to a football game, all those differences are there, but we all cheer for the Lions.
Yes.
We all cheer for the Wolverines. Some lesser people cheer for the Spartans. Not many, and some people that are just wrong cheer for the Buckeyes. But most, it's interesting how you can get 100 and some thousand people to agree that we have nothing in common but that football team. I go to a funeral. We have the people in the room have nothing in common except the deceased. And
That's
that's
right.
enough to bring us all together. So to say it's asking too much. We all have to we all have to vote the same way. We all have to speak the same way. We all have to have the same views on every it's shocking that the church is the only litmus test, the only group that has litmus tests like that. All other groups just simply you got a big M on your head, then you're a Wolverine. Go Wolverines. You know what I mean? Like we don't worry
Yeah.
about any the military. We didn't care where anybody came from. We didn't care the color of their skin. We none of those things mattered. What mattered was we had a common mission. We came together under a certain set of rules that were mandatory. We trained
Right.
ourselves. We protected each other. It's very confusing. The civilian world's very confusing. After you get out. But that this thought that the church it's an impossible task to be unified. But you're not seeing Jesus as clearly as you're seeing a Wolverine or a Spartan or a Buckeye. You can't be, or you would never say that sort of thing. So it is. It's only possible. It's mandatory. This is not a. When I'm mature, I'll do this. This is one of the final prayers in peace that Jesus has, right? That we got
Right.
recorded. All men will know you're my disciples if you love one another. What do they know if we're not? They know that not that Jesus isn't real, but we're not his disciple. So
Right.
it is a call. It is a discipline. We just talked about this in our 5 minute conversation. Loving God has always come naturally, and I'll do it all day long. Loving people is exhausting because of things like this. We have to love each
Yes.
other through our worst moments and not categorize 30 years of relationship by 30 seconds of
Mm.
something they said on social media or I said that offended them. We have to get
That's right.
deeper. We have to get more mature. We have to get
Right.
more resilient than we currently are. We're not glorifying the Lord as we
Yeah.
should.
So if you've been of the mind that it's good to air this publicly, um, I want you to remember, first of all, Jesus is a builder,
Yeah,
that unity is not uniformity. And here's a third thought: the church is his, it's not ours.
there you go.
He didn't say, I'll build your church.
Right.
He
Yeah,
said, I'll build my church.
yeah.
And here's what I've discovered over 51 years now walking with Jesus, that leaders are works in progress,
Mhm.
leading people who are works in progress.
Yes.
I'm not, again, I want to say this a bunch of times today because I don't want to be misquoted here.
Yeah,
That is not an excuse for wrongdoing by
yeah,
a leader.
absolutely.
Those need to be dealt with, and we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
Those need to be dealt with properly, and the people who are hurt by it need to be cared for properly.
yes.
Uh, but to belittle, listen, to attack or belittle or attempt, and some of the posts are suggesting this, to dismantle the church,
Yeah,
from my perspective, is a dangerous posture to assume. To me, Jim, it smells of pride and prayerlessness. And I think those two kind of go together.
sure. Yeah,
My first posture when something goes wrong, when I hear another story of a pastor who's done some incredibly stupid things and hurt people,
yeah,
is it grieves my heart for the victims. It grieves my heart for that leader.
yeah.
And I hit my knees
Mm,
and ask God to show up and bring some sort of good out of the mess that is now swirling around. And I happen to believe that's a good first step.
yeah.
Um, any thoughts on this third before we hit the lightning round here? This third
No,
thought.
I think you said it very well, and I think we both have banged the drum pretty hard that those I think it was Roosevelt that said any idiot can find fault, and most do. I'm not calling about an idiot now, but that thought that like, hey, I found fault, that's a sign of maturity. I am better. I'm above. I'm free from. Not always. And again, a 7-year-old says, when I'm a mommy, someday I hope my kids won't have any bedtimes. I found
Yeah.
fault in your parenting. Well, from your perspective, I can see how you'd say that. What you don't know is that your perspective is going to change in about 20 years. And you're going to be putting my grandchild in bed, and she's going to say the same thing to you just said to me. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
sometimes we can just, if there was, if the, the church that does this, the church that did that, or any church that does that, like, I don't know, man. I think sometimes pastors are just as guilty of this because we've been theologically trained that our doctrines are superior to other fellowships. And so
Yeah.
we teach as superior
Oh,
people, and we create that pride you're talking about, that
mm,
we have more of this than they do, or they have more of that than we do, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So I just think we're, again, if we hit our needs every day, we're going to stand up different people. And so that
Yes.
humility before the Lord, this is yours, it's not mine. I'm not a consumer. Church is not a product. A pastor is not a politician that deserves open criticism. We're a family. We're all adopted. We all come from an orphanage, the same orphanages. We had different, we're all in the same boat. We all different storms in life, but by the
Yes.
grace of God, we're going to go to heaven. And to show contempt and ingratitude towards that holy mechanism called the church, because you got your feelings hurt and now you're superior, you don't feel safe unless you're criticizing it. Stop. Like you're saying, get some help, get it out. And I would also say this, and I say this a lot, John, I'm sure you do too. When I find someone who's been legitimately hurt by the church as a pastor, I say, can I sit in the pastoral seat for a moment? The same seat that that person hurt you in. Can I humbly say, I'm so sorry. That
Yes.
was not right. You should have never been treated that way. Please, please, please forgive the seat, that, you know what I mean? Please forgive the person who sat in that seat. They're not here right now. They're dead. They're gone. It was your dad. It was abusive, whatever.
Right.
I'm sitting in the same seat he is, and I wouldn't blame you if you didn't trust me. But let me sit in the seat for one more minute and just say to you, I'm so sorry that you were treated that way. That is inexcusable, and I am just so sorry. And it is not uncommon. Maybe 80% of the time, tears start to flow and healing
Of
begins.
course.
Because they never heard
Of
anybody say
course.
that.
Yeah.
So I would encourage pastors to be very careful how you treat people that are hurt. Matter of fact, if they're hurt, they're coming to you from a hurt situation at church. Every time, not once in a while, every time somebody comes to Freedom Center that was hurt by their last church, I offer to sit down with them and their pastor to try to work it out. Because
Yeah.
I sooner or later, I'm gonna do the same sort of thing probably to you. Let's
Well,
deal with it now.
maybe. I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't, I wouldn't suspect you would do some of the stuff that I've
some of the stuff. Yeah.
been exposed to in terms of what's happened. Let me just say
Yep.
this. I want to speak directly to organizations, um, and how I just some thoughts about how they might respond to abuse, whether it be spiritual abuse,
Yeah.
sexual abuse, coercive, manipulative,
Yeah.
marginalizing, demeaning leadership
Yep.
abuse. First, acknowledge harm has been done.
Yes.
Don't minimize it. Don't explain it away. Survivors need to hear leaders take responsibility and
Yes.
name the wrong
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Secondly, and I'm just going to bomb through these,
Do
Jim,
it.
and I'll let you kind of wrap us up.
Okay.
Secondly, create safe avenues for reporting.
Yeah.
There's got to be some confidential, accessible ways for individuals to share things that have happened to them without fear of retaliation.
Yeah. That's good.
Thirdly, engage outside help.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that you bring in independent, trusted voices. It could be a
Yeah.
counselor, it could be a mediator,
Yeah.
might even be an investigator when allegations arise.
Yeah.
I think organizations make a mistake when they say we're going to handle this in-house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, you can handle part of it in-house, but to have that third party objective voice goes
Yeah.
a long way to communicate impartiality and seriousness on the part of the organization. Fourthly, I shouldn't have to say this, but offer care for survivors.
Yeah.
Provide counseling, pastoral care, support groups. I've been in meetings, all day retreats with staffs who have suffered real abuse and pain under their former leader. And Jim, to sit in that room with them
Mm.
for 6 hours, and 4 of the hours they're bawling their eyes out.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's sobering.
Yeah.
It it's just, I don't even know how to describe it. Almost surreal,
Right.
that experience. So offer care for people who have survived abuse. Take corrective action. Here's the next one. Take corrective action with leaders. If a leader is truly abusive, bring the appropriate discipline to that leader.
Sure.
And sometimes that means up to removing them
Yes,
if
absolutely.
necessary. Um, so one last thought, Jim, and then I'd
Mm.
love for you to just wrap us up. It's always easier to demolish than build. You know, I
Yeah,
used to watch HGTV quite a bit, not much anymore, but demo day was a fun day for people.
right on.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't like swinging uh, a hammer
Yeah,
and tearing down a wall and pulling out stuff? It's kind of fun. It's therapeutic
it is. Yes, it
in
is.
a way. But here's the deal. It's always easier to do that than it is to build,
Yeah,
to design something in its place.
yeah,
One angry word, one harsh post, one careless criticism can undo months or even years of faithful ministry.
yeah,
Destruction is often quick and requires absolutely, I said it already, no skill.
yeah,
Building is slow and deliberate and costly. It takes a lot
yeah,
of patience, a lot of wisdom, and love to construct something that lasts.
yeah,
And so I would just say to our dear friends, our watchers and listeners who we care about deeply, Jesus is calling all of us to the harder, holier work
yeah,
of building up uh, instead of the easier, more unholy work of demolishing.
yeah.
And that's what I have, Jim. I have more thoughts on this. We'll take those into
Pick it
next
up
week.
next
So
week. Yeah,
wrap us
thanks,
up, okay?
Jim. Appreciate it. And we would also say this, if you're in that situation right now where
Mm,
you're under the thumb of some oppressive entity, maybe a good phone call would be to Converge Coaching.
mm,
You talked about that third party. Again, we are a neutral third party person.
that's right.
Denominational heads might be that, a presbyter of some sort might be that, a neighboring pastor might be that. It can't be the people that are on your side or the people that are on the other side. It has to be people that are on God's side. So finding that person, if we can help you in any way, it's not our favorite thing to do, but if we can bring healing to any
Yeah.
situation, it's something like you said, 6 hours and four of them covered in, in tears. That's not a bad day. It's an exhausting day, but that you don't regret that day.
Yes,
I'm sure, it's a fruitful day.
I
So,
don't.
so we love you guys. If you're going through it, how can we help?
Mm,
What can we do? Let us know. And if you're not going through it, make sure you do the things that keep your environments healthy. Make sure that he said the reporting stuff, offer care, creating safe ways to report things. If there was a problem, would you ever know about it? If the answer is I don't know, you should form a way that our
yeah.
membership class, we tell people at our membership class how things go. Like if you're the person above you, then you go above, and then finally you can appeal to the Supreme Court, if you will, and by
Mm,
just calling me directly, hey, I went through all the other layers, nothing was done about it. I want to know about it. So, and we all want to protect God's church. So God bless you guys. What we're trying to say is this: it's not perfect, it is holy, and let's treat it with the care that Jesus would treat it with. And we trust that as you do that, God will bless you and honor you. Let's get it healthy, which means sometimes we got to pull out stuff that isn't healthy
that's
and
right.
and we will do our best again to walk beside you as you do this as the body of Christ will. So God bless you, our watchers and listeners. We're praying for you. We know it's not easy as you continue to lead from alignment.